Welcome to today's Tread Talk. Today we are talking about the Seattle startup called Tribute that recently closed down towards the end of December. And the reason that I want to talk about this startup is not because of its failure, but more because of its successes. So I believe that this is an excellent case study for what I believe should exist in the startup world, which is a differentiated pathway for startups that can be successful and founders that can be successful, but maybe aren't going to reach the level of return that a venture capital firm or a private equity organization is looking to bring in with their investments. In those situations, like 80% of startups are kind of tossed away. And I guarantee you that 80% of those startups and those founders wouldn't fail ultimately if they had some type of pathway to go forward. So the reason I want to talk about Tribute is because I think that they're a wonderful tribute to what's possible, which is when you have a startup like this one that had a lot of wins, had a lot of public growth, a lot of really positive case studies on what they did with their customers. They got a ton of publicity and news. They were able to achieve elements of profitability and scale, but ultimately they just didn't scale at the speed that they would have needed to continue to be funded. Now, it could be for a number of different reasons. It could be that the founders have opportunities to grow, which is maybe or maybe not the case, but is the case in some scenarios. Or maybe the idea was, some level of not good enough to good enough, but slowly developing. And in any of those situations, if the business can be saved, or if the founder can be developed to allow that investment to still come to fruition in the States, we should try to do that. We should not be investing large amounts of dollars into businesses in the States, expecting 80% of them to fail, because that puts a large weight on the American economy of money that we know isn't going to pan out. So I'm not saying that the venture capital firms, I'm not saying that the private equity firms have to change their strategy completely, but let's create an off-ramp so that when we realize there's a company that isn't going to go all the way where the VC firm wants them to go, they can point them, hey, get off on exit over there, where you can go create a nice small business, or where you can go get the skills and training necessary to take your great idea all the way, or whatever the circumstance actually is. I think if we do that, we can help to rebuild the middle class in the United States with small businesses and people that have developing small business ownership skills, which will be good for the country long term. It'll be good for the economy long term. It'll put us in a competitive position with other economies long term. It'll put us in a position where we have lots of entrepreneurially minded and strong individuals to develop other people, which will be good for our country long term. So, sorry to Tribute and the folks that had their experience there, because it can be not a lot of fun to go through that. But I hope I get the chance to talk to them, maybe even bring them on the podcast, because I think it's an interesting case study. So there is that one.